This is the story of the homes of Bob Crane, a man whose rise to fame was as spectacular as his fall was shocking. Before we dive into touring his homes, let's take a look at his fascinating career. By day, he was Colonel Hogan, the wisecracking leader of television's most beloved prisoners of war. But behind closed doors, this seemingly all-American family man harbored secrets so dark they would ultimately lead to his brutal murder in a Scottsdale apartment. Robert Edward Crane was born in 1928 in Waterbury, Connecticut. From an early age, Bob showed an insatiable appetite for entertainment, picking up drumsticks at age 11 and organizing neighborhood drum and bugle parades. His infectious personality and natural rhythm would become the foundation of a career that would take him from small-town Connecticut to the glittering heights of Hollywood stardom. After graduating from Stamford High School in 1946, where he'd played in the orchestra, marching band, and jazz ensembles, Crane briefly served in the Connecticut Army National Guard before discovering his true calling: radio. In 1950, Crane began his career in radio broadcasting in New York, moving through stations in Connecticut before CBS Radio hired him in 1956 to host the morning show at its West Coast flagship KNX in Los Angeles. During his time at KNX, Bob was earning a then unprecedented salary of $75,000 per year, equivalent to nearly $800,000 per year in today's dollars. His radio show became legendary, featuring interviews with Hollywood's elite, including Frank Sinatra, Marilyn Monroe, Bob Hope, and future President Ronald Reagan. Crane's quick wit, drumming skills, and irreverent humor made him the undisputed king of the LA airwaves. But radio was just the beginning. There was a brief period in the early 1960s when Bob was double-dipping in salary, earning an additional $75,000 per year from his work on The Donna Reed Show. So, after adjusting for inflation, in the early 60s, Bob was earning the equivalent of $1.6 million per year between radio and TV salaries. When offered the starring role in Hogan's Heroes in 1965, the show unquestionably made Bob a rich man with a net worth in the low millions range. The series ran for 6 seasons, earning Crane 2 Emmy nominations and cementing his place in television history. Now let's take a closer look at the spaces that he occupied. Our first stop takes us to CBS Columbia Square at 6121 Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood, which served as Crane's professional home base during his radio heyday. Columbia Square was designed by Swiss-born architect William Lescars in the style of international modernism and built over a year at a cost of $2 million, more money than had ever been spent on a broadcasting facility. Lescars's sweeping, streamlined motifs, porthole windows, and glass brick were true to modernist design. Crane would arrive at Columbia Square at 5:30 in the morning to prepare for his 4-hour radio show, then rush down to the television set to film Hogan's Heroes until 7:15 at night, before returning to the radio station to prepare for the next day's show. The building became a second home to Crane, where he conducted thousands of celebrity interviews and built his reputation as Hollywood's premier radio personality. The studio's state-of-the-art recording facilities allowed Crane to showcase his musical talents, frequently performing drum solos on air and creating the kind of spontaneous, entertaining content that made his show must-listen radio. During his early success, Crane established a family home in Los Angeles, where he lived with his first wife, Ann Tersian, whom he married in 1949, and their 3 children, Robert David, Deborah, and Karen. This was the picture-perfect American home, where Crane attempted to balance his skyrocketing career with family life. The house represented the conventional side of Bob Crane, the devoted father and husband who drove his children to school and tried to maintain normalcy despite his growing celebrity status. However, the demanding schedule of working both radio and television began taking its toll on his family life. As Crane himself later admitted, "I got so I was Uncle Daddy to my kids. When I'd drive in the driveway, the kids would say, 'Hey, here comes Bob Crane.'" This Los Angeles home became a symbol of what Crane was slowly losing as his obsessions grew and his priorities shifted from family to fame and eventually to his darker pursuits. In one of Hollywood's more unusual ceremonies, Crane married his second wife, Patricia Olson's stage name Sigrid Valdez, on the set of Hogan's Heroes in 1970, with series co-star Richard Dawson serving as best man. This wasn't just a publicity stunt. It represented Crane's complete immersion into the entertainment world and his departure from conventional family life. The couple had a son, Scott Crane, in 1971 and adopted a daughter, Anna Marie. Their married life would be spent in a more upscale Los Angeles residence, befitting Crane's star status. However, this home would also become the setting for Crane's increasingly problematic behavior. With the invention of home videotape and its introduction to the wealthy and famous in the mid-60s, Bob Crane became a fast study, first exposed to home video by John Carpenter. The cameras and clunky tape machines were huge and looked like they had fallen from a Soviet spaceship, all hooked up to a large television set, prominently displayed in Crane's apartment living room. Our tour ends at the most infamous address in Bob Crane's story, the Winfield Place apartments near Scottsdale and Camelback Roads in Scottsdale, Arizona, where Crane was found bludgeoned to death on June 29, 1978. Crane was living there while he performed in the play Beginner's Luck at the Windmill Dinner Theater, now known as the Buzz nightclub. The apartment itself was modest, a two-bedroom, two-bath unit that Crane had rented for his theater engagement. But inside, police found cameras, video equipment, a makeshift photo lab, and dozens of videos of Crane having sex with different women. The killer's choice of weapon was ironic to say the least. Crane was found bludgeoned to death with his own camera tripod. The property came to market almost by chance years later, when a Scottsdale bar owner offered $150,000 for the Crane apartment, though the owners asked for $180,000. According to real estate law, you are obligated to tell if a murder has been committed there within 3 years, but the realtor involved said she tells everybody everything. The apartment's subsequent owners reported mysterious occurrences, with one resident claiming to hear toilets flush at night and feeling a presence at the end of the bed. Crane was found bludgeoned to death in his Scottsdale, Arizona apartment while on tour in June 1978. In the 1990s, his friend John Henry Carpenter was tried for the murder but was acquitted, and the case remains officially unsolved. Suspicion centered on Carpenter, but a trial in 1994 acquitted Carpenter of the much-delayed charges, and Carpenter has since died of natural causes. The investigation revealed the full extent of Crane's double life. The actor's son Robert recalls that his father's dressing room was a place where the star stored Polaroids of nudity, negatives, and X-rated films. Despite the challenges, investigators quickly ascertained that the motive was personal, and that Crane likely knew his killer. There was no sign of forced entry at the property, and nothing was initially believed to be missing from the apartment. Police favored the theory of pre-planning and noted that the door to the swimming pool was left unlocked, speculating that the killer had secretly left the door open on a previous visit. An estimated 200 family members and friends attended his funeral, including John Aston, Patty Duke, and Carol O'Connor. He was interred in Oakwood Memorial Park Cemetery in Chatsworth, California, though Olson later had his remains relocated to Westwood Village Memorial Park. Ironically, shortly after his murder, his estate would come into millions of dollars from a new syndication deal for Hogan's Heroes, of which he owned a small part. The wealth that had eluded him in his final years came too late to save him from the demons that ultimately destroyed him. Bob Crane's homes and story serves as a stark reminder that behind the facade of Hollywood, success often lies a much more complex and sometimes tragic reality. If you found this tour fascinating, please give us a thumbs up. It really helps us continue bringing you these in-depth explorations of old Hollywood's most intriguing stories. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss our latest investigations into the homes and lives of classic Hollywood's biggest stars. Until next time, keep exploring the hidden histories behind Hollywood's most iconic facades.